From the Oregon State University Extension Service, this is Pollination, a podcast that tells the stories of researchers, land managers, and concerned citizens making bold strides to improve the health of pollinators. I'm your host, Dr. Adoni Melathopoulos, Assistant Professor in Pollinator Health in the Department of Horticulture. I sometimes pause and look backwards, and I'm so amazed at how the area of pollinator health has expanded. It's really gone in all directions. It's almost too hard to keep in touch with all the state and federal agencies that are active on pollinator health issues, let alone the new grant opportunities that are coming from new programs that I never heard of, new nonprofits and new publications. It's just really hard, even for the host of Pollination, to really know what's going on. But there is one person who I think has this great perspective on the whole, and that's our guest this week. Izzy Hill is the USDA Pollinator Coordinator for the U.S. Department of Agriculture and housed in the Office of the Chief Scientist. And you can hear in this episode, this is a new position, and really it has this role of promoting collaboration and communication across USDA agencies, the managed pollinator industry, and USDA grant recipients on issues related to pollinator health. And one thing that's come out of this new position is a resource that, if you haven't heard about it, you're going to hear about it in this episode. The Latest Buzz is a regularly published newsletter. It's kind of like an email that you get that has all the publications. It has all the grant opportunities. If you're a graduate student looking for graduate opportunities, it's all there. If you're looking for a job, it's there. It's like the one-stop shopping place for knowing about all things pollinators in the U.S. So in this episode, you're going to hear a little bit about where the Latest Buzz came from, how you can sign up, and also a little bit about this position that Izzy holds, which I think is really critical, is really needed in the Office of Chief Scientist. So let's head over to Washington, D.C. this week on Pollination. Welcome, Izzy. I am so excited to finally have you as a guest on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, before we get into the meat of this show, which is this one email that comes from your office that I'm always excited about, I think it would be great for those of you who do not know about the USDA Pollinator Coordinator position that you hold. It's a relatively new position. Can you tell us a little bit about what that position does?
Sure. So this new position is the, Pollinator Research Coordinator for the department, and it was put in place under the 2018 Farm Bill. And in addition to this coordination position, there's about 30 different research charges that are pertinent to pollinator health. So this position is housed in the Office of the Chief Scientist, which is within the Research, Education, and Economics mission area at USDA. And although I am in a specific mission area, I do work across the department and, of course, with our federal partners and external stakeholders. So it's a really unique position. There are a couple of other departmental coordinators at USDA, but I feel honored to have one of those be for pollinators.
I think it's a real achievement. It's great to have this position. And, one thing that exemplifies amongst many, many things, but one real tangible thing that exemplifies this spirit of coordination is this newsletter that comes out, the Latest Buzz. And I'm not sure how many people know about it. I talk to colleagues and the Latest Buzz. It's kind of like trickled out and people are learning more and more. And I find it invaluable. It's the one email I'm so excited to see in my inbox when it pops up there. I always read it. But maybe to begin with, just kind of lay out, what is the Latest Buzz? For those out there who've never seen this thing, what is the Latest Buzz?
Sure. So essentially what it is a roundup of pollinator happenings. And we focus both on honeybees and other types of pollinators. And in each issue, we typically will try to outline employment and fellowship opportunities. We also look at funding and award opportunities. And I'll say for that one specifically, we really like to think outside of the box of not just the typical funding flows for pollinators, but are there other resources, for example, biological research grants that folks can look into? So we look at that. We also like to share new publications that are coming out, as well as publication opportunities. For example, if there's a special edition on pollinators that's coming out for a journal. We also do news stories and podcasts and upcoming events. So it's sort of everything that crosses my desk in a typical week or month. If I see it, I make sure that it's in the buzz for others to read.
It really is, and it's extensive. I have to say, the comment that you made about grants and thinking outside the box, I often learn about grants I had never even considered by just, when that email comes into my inbox, opening it up, and it's like, I guess that's something I could apply to. Like it's a really good nerve center for anybody working on pollinator issues, from a graduate student to somebody's working with pollinators in an NGO. It's really great. And I guess now that it's been going, when did it start? That's the other thing. I'm trying to think back.
So that's a good question. This actually started back in 2020, and it originally was internal, just for federal employees. And the reason it came about, I'm our research coordinator for pollinators here at USDA. And so I'm working with, hundreds of different people that work in the pollinator realm. And I had a situation happen where there was a funding opportunity that I knew about, and I just simply forgot to send it to somebody. And I said, wow, I can't be doing that. How do I fix this problem? And so I previously was at the Environmental Protection Agency, and their biotech liaison actually had a similar newsletter. If you ever look at the buzz, it's very bare bones. It's just text. So there's no fluff. It's more of a compendium resource for, what's out there. So I said, I think that might work here, and then we won't have this type of issue again. So we started again internally with our federal family, and within about a month or two, there was so much demand from outside groups who were getting copies of it. They said, can we please make this public? And I said, absolutely. So that was in early 2021, and we've been doing it ever since.
I love the format as well, that it is kind of bare bones, but it's regular. Like, I just know that it's the latest information. It's the latest buzz, but it really it stays very current. And I really like the idea of its origins, that, I'm sure a state extension person like myself is the same way. We're kind of swimming in information and kind of making sure it finds the right people. This seems like a very effective tool for just, what do you need? You need a listing of things, and it needs to be, easy to work through and well curated and nicely organized and have content in it. And I guess you must have heard people like me walking up to you when we see you at a conference saying, that thing is great. Tell us a little bit about the people who've kind of let you know that they're using it. Do you have a sense of who's using this tool? And tell us some stories.
Sure. And I think it's always a surprise for us too sometimes when someone walks up and says, wow, I use the latest buzz for X, Y, and Z. So typically, I'd say a majority of those that are signed up are researchers or graduate students that are looking for both employment opportunities, but also grant opportunities. But with that said, we also have quite a few people who are in industry, conservation groups, the federal government, who are more so interested in what the new publications are that are coming out, or what the new events are that are coming up in that year that they might want to be present at. So we really have a divide, I would say, in terms of where people, when they open up the buzz, where do they go to first? There's the cohort who's definitely looking for the opportunities, and there's the cohort who's typically looking at what's the report out on what's coming out right now. And I doubt there's anyone who reads it cover to cover, because as we mentioned, it's very long, and it does keep track of previous opportunities that are still open. And so I think a lot of folks just jump to the section that they're most interested in. But I will say, I've had quite a few people come and tell me, I got a grant because of the buzz. I got a job because I saw it here. So that's a great day. That's a good feeling to know that this roundup is helping folks in their lives.
Certainly, I've heard stories like this as well. It's very effective at doing what it's designed to do. And I guess it's been a couple of years now. It's been running, and now I noticed in the last, this was the occasion for reaching out to you. I've been wanting to do a podcast about this, but then I saw there's a new look. So tell us what's changed. What's the new look?
So as I mentioned, this really started, it was a grassroots effort. It started with a handful of federal employees just using a basic email account. But now we've got so many people that we're actually, we couldn't get the emails out. The systems were stopping us. And so we have moved it over to a listserv. So it still has that simple look to it, but hopefully now it will reach those folks who are hoping to receive it. So that was the main reason for the move. But, we kind of embrace that it's not that glamorous, but it is a good resource for information.
Oh yeah, I think none of us would. I'm a very appreciative that it's simple, straightforward, and always on time. So like for me, I think as one of your hordes of subscribers, we like it. It's great. Just keep it coming. Now, I guess this raises the question: how does someone subscribe or post something, or how do you get on this train?
Sure. I think the easiest thing to do to start is to go to our main pollinator page for USDA. So that is usda.gov/pollinators with an S at the end. And there's a link there where you can sign up for the latest buzz. And if you have information that you would like to share, you can send that to pollinator without an S, singular, at usda.gov. And we are happy to include any type of information that you have. I'd say typically the biggest contributions are going to be folks that want to share new research that they've published. But all the time we're getting new job opportunities, new news pieces, et cetera. So if someone sends it in, it ends up in the buzz. We always allow any contribution to be listed. So, as a side note, it's quite beneficial for me as well as a coordinator, because if you send something to me, not only will it end up in the buzz, but then I know about it, which means in my day-to-day, when I'm coordinating our research efforts across the department, it's very common for, the dots to be connected. And I'll say, oh, this person just sent this article that I think would be of interest to you in this research pursuit that you're undertaking. So that's actually quite common. So it's a bit of a twofer. If someone sends me information, not only do I know it, but it ends up in the buzz as well.
Well, fantastic. Well, thanks for giving the broad overview. And I imagine for those of you who are hearing this for the first time, you will be delighted to discover this resource. It is so wonderful and so powerful. Well, thanks again, Izzy, for taking time to talk with us. Keep up the great work. And I'm really excited to have let the world know about this really great resource, the latest buzz.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. The show is produced by Quinn Sin and Neal, who's a student here at OSU in the New Media Communications program, and the show wouldn't even be possible without the support of the Oregon Legislature, the Foundation for Food and Agricultural Research, and Western SARE. Show notes with links mentioned on each episode are available on the website, which is at pollinationpodcast.oregonstate.edu. I also love hearing from you, and there's several ways to connect with me. The first one is you can visit the website and leave an episode-specific comment. You can suggest a future guest or topic, or ask a question that could be featured in a future episode. But you can do the same things on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook by visiting the Oregon Bee Project. Thanks so much for listening, and see you next week.